Welcome to the Oval Office. You know, we've got lots of room back here if you want to have some folks move down here. You're actually standing in a room that is the exact size, it's an exact replica of the Oval Office of the White House. And in fact, when the museum was being built, President Reagan was here quite frequently, but when he first walked into this room, he noticed that the ceiling was too low. And he said to the architect, "Ceiling's not high enough." And the architect said, "Well, I know, Mr. President, but the roof is already on the building." And he said, "Well, get a shovel and start digging." And that's why you had to walk down a ramp when you came into the room, because the President wanted it to be exactly the same, and so it is exactly the same. This is decorated in the style of the President Reagan's second term. You can see the Southwest influence with the colors of the drapes and the color of the carpeting. The pillows on the chair, in fact, were original. There are a few other things in this room that are original. For example, the saddles back there, the sculptures of the saddles are original. Everything on the desk, with the exception of the telephone, is original. And that chair is original. The chair was actually a gift to President Reagan from Mrs. Reagan when he was running for governor of California. So he used it for 8 years as governor of California, and then he used it for 8 years as president of the United States, and then he brought it here to this museum. I want to talk a bit about the desk because the desk is a replica. The original is actually with President Obama today in the Oval Office. But the desk has has an important history with respect to the presidents and the Oval Office and the White House. It's called the Resolute desk or the Hayes desk. And that's because it was actually built from the timbers of the HMS Resolute, which was Her Majesty Queen Victoria's ship in her Navy in the late 1800s. And it was sailing up in the North Passage, and it got stuck in the ice and was abandoned by its captain and crew. The Queen thought it was lost forever. But a couple of years later, it was found by a U.S. Whaling company. And the whaling ship found it, they salvaged it, and they sold it to the U.S. Congress, who in fact then turned around and gave it back to Queen Victoria. She was very happy to get her ship back because she was able to use it for another 20 years in her Navy. But when it was finally decommissioned, she had the timbers all taken apart, and she had 3 exact desks made that look exactly like each other. And one of them she used for herself, and it's still today in Buckingham Palace. And a second she gave as a gift to the captain of a whaling ship, and that's in a whaling museum in Nova Scotia. And the third was given to President Hayes, and he used it in White House. He did not use it in the Oval Office. It wasn't used in the Oval Office until President John F. Kennedy. But you may remember a picture of John F. Kennedy and John as he was playing underneath this desk. And you might, think to yourself, well, how did they do that? Well, that's because this is actually a panel that was added later on. So it opens up and it closes. And it was added at the request of FDR because he had braces on his legs, of course, and he didn't want people to see that as he was sitting behind his desk. So he wanted it covered up with this panel. We know that there was another change that was made to the desk, and that was for President Reagan. There was about 2.5 inches that were added to the desk, and that's because he was a tall man, 6'1", and when he would sit, behind the desk, his knees would hit the floor. And he said, you either have to raise the desk or lower my knees, so they raised the desk. But we did find out something very interesting, and that was that, just recently President Obama was given a pencil box from the British, and that was made from the wood of the Resolute. And we did find out that everything, the addition of the panel and the raising of the desk and the pencil box, are all used from the same wood that they apparently have kept around all these years. Thank you very much.
Thank you.